Hi guys, it's Becky, and I told you guys when I made my other project from the Everlasting Embrace box from Potomac Beads that I had an idea for an earring, and this was my idea, and I am going to make that with y'all in this video. And before we get started making it, I just want to tell you a little bit about this new thing that I just got because I'm kind of excited about it. It's just a little sorter organizer that I'm going to be using because I'm using light colored beads and light colored thread. I'm going to be moving this mat out of the way so that we have the dark background against it, but I want to have a place to put my beads. And I don't know if you guys remember the last time I did one of these with the dark background behind. I tried using this sorter and I hated every minute of it because it had this hard felt surface, which was just awful for trying to pick up seed beads because the needle catches in the little felt fibers, and then when you pull it up it flicks and then beads go everywhere, and it was just an awful experience for me. But this has really soft sections within it, so it's going to be so much better for this. So let me get these sorted in here while I tell you what beads we're using, and then I'll show you my favorite part of this, because while this comes out, I'm going to be keeping it in this case because I'll show you in a minute. So all of the beads for making this earring come from the Everlasting Embrace bead box from Potomac Beads. I'm using 4 for each earring. We're going to use 4 quad bows. They're these curved multi-hole beads. They have 4 holes going all the way from the outside curve to the inside curve on all of those. So I'm going to be using those. I'm going to be using one of these navettes for each earring. It already comes in a setting with 2 holes in there, so we don't have to bezel that. I'm going to be using one of these tulip beads. It's a check glass tulip bead. 2 of these 6mm check glass pearls. Going to be using an assortment of, well, actually, I think about 14, 15, something like that, of the 3mm bicones. So we're going to have those in there. We've got some 4mm check glass beads. No, it's 18 bicones and 14 of the check glass beads, I think. You only need like 5 for each earring of these 15-ohs. And these 15-ohs are the only bead that did not come from the box. I just grabbed those out of my bead stash so that we could have those as a couple of parts in putting this together. Like all of the other findings too, like our wire guardian and our earring post, those all came in the box too. And then I'm going to be using a beading needle for that and some crystal dragon thread when we make this together. And let me show you my favorite part about this. So I just discovered it and it works really well because one of the things about having like portable projects and projects that you want to move is like, if I jostle it this way, they stay put where they're at, but what happens if I'm carrying it and something knocks it up from underneath? Well, this comes with an extra little piece of foam that you can put over the top, and you want to kind of press it down when you do this because then you can close it up, and not only does it like stay put where it's at, it all stays right where you sorted it. Let's pull this out and you can see, well, most of it. But like all of the 15-ohs are still in their little spot. These larger bees, you know, gravity. But they're easier to sort out, but all of the 15-ohs stay where they're at because like even my travel bead board, if I have beads sorted out onto it and I close the lid, when I open it up again, I always have to sort them out again. So I'm really happy with this. I'm going to enjoy beading off of it, and I'm going to enjoy using it to make my projects more portable, where I sort out my beads in one location and then move to another to continue beading on them. All right, so that was just my little spiel. You can get these from Potomac Beads or from Bead On It boards. That's a Potomac Beads brand. But we're going to be making these here so that you can see what I'm doing on each step of the way with this dark background. So I'm going to just pull off about a comfortable length of thread for this. It's going to be about an arm's length, where I hold this end in one hand and I hold this end near my chest, and I just stretch my hand out, and it'll rotate while you do that. And that'll give me an arm's length of thread to work with. You don't need that much, but it's nice to have enough. And that did not cut that cleanly. I need to get my better snips out, I think. That's a better cut. And I'm going to try threading this English style beading needle. This is a size 12. You don't need a small beading needle for this, because most of the holes on here are going to be larger size holes. We're going to go through a few times on each of them. And it's only going to be going through a couple of times, just a few thread passes, not very many, with the 15-0s. So you really don't need really large beading needles for this. Or sorry, really small beading needles. All right, I'm gonna try this trick where you take the thread and you kind of clamp down on it with some flat pliers. See, it kind of like smushes down the end of the wire, or not wire, it's thread. And then you can put the thread a little more easily through the eye of your beading needle. Did that work? Is it through? No, it did not. There we go. All right. Now to get this started, I'm going to start with a Quadbow. And if you're holding the Quadbow up like this, like sort of vertically like this, you've got top, two middles, and a bottom hole. I'm going to go into the second hole from the top. It's one of the two middle ones. It actually doesn't matter. It could be either one of those, because they will rotate until we get them put into place. I'm going to want to leave myself 3 to 4 inches of thread on the other end. You can put in a bead stopper if you'd like. I'm just going to pinch it in my fingers though while I make this. But the next step is going to be picking up one of the bicones. And then going through one of the holes in the navette. At this point, it doesn't matter which hole you go in or come out of. Set this down for just a sec, because these are going to rotate a little bit while I'm getting them into place. It's a little bit easier to manage it if it's on a backing. So again, the thread went through the second hole from, I guess, the top or the bottom. It's one of the middle holes. We've got a bicone, then we go through the navette, and I'm going to pick up another bicone and another Quadbow, and I'm going to go through one of those middle holes. In this one, I went from the outside curve towards the inside, and on this one, I'm going to go from the inside curve towards the outside. I guess it doesn't really matter which way we're facing. It's all good. Up, down, or the other. All right, that's good. So I'm going to go through, actually, you know what, let's move this a little bit closer. I'm gonna pick it up so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm coming out of the second hole from the top, if I'm calling it the top. This one here, it could be the bottom, I don't know. I'm going to go through this hole here. So I'm just stepping up to the next hole in that quad bow. I'm going to pick up one of the 4mm fire polish beads, slide that down there. And see, I went from the outside curve towards the inside curve on this one. I'm going to pick up another quad bow, and I'm going to go from the inside curve towards the outside through one of the holes on the end. And this is where setting it down is going to be a little bit easier for us. So then we can rotate these beads around the thread. And the navette. There we go, that's where I want it. And now I'm coming out of this hole close to this end. I'm going to step up to the next hole along the side of this quad bow, which is that middle hole, which is what we went through on those other two. Pick up another bicone. Gonna go through the second hole of the quad or the navette setting. And it's okay if it's a little loose right now because we will definitely tighten this up before we move on. I just want to get all of my quad bows in place before we go tighten things up. So we've got it like that. And I'm going to pick up another. Whoop! Where are you going, Betty? There we go. See, it settles into place a little bit better when it's on the ground or on a surface. And it could be facing up or back. It doesn't matter at this point. I'm going to pick up another one of the bicones and our last quad bow. And on this one, I'm going through one of the middle holes. And then the edge hole that's closest to that middle hole I went out of, I'm going to go back through that one. I'm going to move my scissors off of here so that I'm not catching my thread on that. I think that's a good idea. Now I'm going to pick up another one of these 4mm fire polish beads and go through this edge hole on that first quad bow that we added. Right now, they are mostly in place. I'm going to just pull this thread a little bit to tighten everything up. It is still going to be loosey-goosey. It's still going to wobble around a lot because we haven't reinforced a single thing. This is the part where we are going to go in and reinforce that. Oh, my thread is catching on the setting for the navette. So I'm going to go back in through that second hole of the quad bow, through the bicone, through the second hole of this quad bow. All the way back there. So I'm just going through all this one more pass to reinforce it. You could go through 3 times if you want. That's fine. It will not be detrimental to any of this. And this will tighten up a bit as we add the other bits to our project. For right now, we are just getting these guys in place. Around this, we're just following the thread path that the thread has already gone through all the way around. When you tighten up your thread, pull on the thread, not on the needle. Go back through here. Because I always get questions when I'm wearing a really cool bracelet. This is the Hugs and Kisses bracelet, and there is a tutorial for it on the Potomac Beads YouTube channel. And it is a very pretty bracelet. I like wearing it. All right, now I'm going to switch to working around the outside edge. You can flip it over if you want to look at the sparkles. That's fine. It doesn't matter which side it's facing as we're going through here because it's all just going to go all the way around it. The only time that it really matters which way it's facing is when you put it on the ear wire at this point. All right, so we've got all of those, and again, if you want to go through a third time, you can. I don't think it's necessary because we are going to be reinforcing everything by going all the way around it now. All right, so I'm going to pick up one bicone, 2 fire polish beads, and 1 bicone on my needle. And I'm coming out of this, I guess, outer edge hole. And I'm going to go all the way into the outer edge hole on the opposite side of this quad bow. Like that. And then I'm just going to go straight into the next quad bow, the one right next to it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up a bicone, 2 of the fire polish beads, and a bicone. I'm going to go here from this hole on this edge to the hole on the other edge here. I'm going to go back through this fire polish bead right here between the quad bows, and then out to the outside edge of this quad bow down here. I'm going to add the same beads along the outside edge. Fire polish, sorry, the bicone, 2 fire polish, and the bicone. Then I'm going to go from this outside hole to the outside hole, or outside edge hole on the opposite end. We're going to do the same thing here with this gap. We're just going to go straight into the next quad bow. And I'm going to pick up a bicone, 2 fire polish, and a bicone. We are going to go right through here. Again, through the fire polish bead between these two. And out to this outside edge. We could go through all of these again, but we are going to be going through here a few more times for more reinforcement when we add some of these extra beads and things. So just gonna pull these a little bit taut right now where we're at. The first thing we're going to do is determine which is going to be the top and the bottom. And I'm going to have this be the bottom so that I can add my little drop as we go through. So I'm going to go through just these beads, the bicone, the fire polish, and this bicone. And then I'm going to add to my thread one of the fire polish beads, a bicone, the tulip bead, and we're going to go from the rounded edge towards the more flowery end, and 1/15. The 15 in this case is just going to be our anchor bead to keep our little drop on there. So I've got all of those on there. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to sew back through the check glass tulip and the bicone, not that fire polish bead. Let's tighten that up just a little bit. Grab another fire polish bead on my needle. All right, so sorry about that. My phone stopped recording. So I did pick up that extra fire polish bead, and now I'm going to sew into the bicone, fire polish bicone on the end. This is floppy, that's fine, because it's going to be dangling. All right, now we should be coming out of this bicone here on the side. And if we do this right, I'm going to pick up another bicone, the pearl, and a bicone. And we're going to sew through these beads along the outside edge. And we're going to be adding some beads here, but we're also going to add our wire guardian. And then after we do all of that, we're going to finish up filling in this space on the other side. And we'll go through a few more times to reinforce everything. I just want to show you where we're at so far. All right, so to add our wire guardian, I'm going to pick up one of these fire polish beads. A 15-0, a bicone, a 15-0, like this. And then I am going to go through one leg of the wire guardians. Then I'm going to go back down through the other leg of this wire guardian. It's a thread guardian now, because that's not wire. And pick up a 15-0 and sew through this bicone. And you know what's one of these dangers that you have with the thread is that if it's too loose, it pops out of this channel here in the wire guardian. You want to make sure your thread is sitting in that channel. So that's how it protects it and keeps it from abrading on things. All right, so now we're coming out of that bicone. I'm going to pick up another 15-0 and a fire polish bead. And don't worry, we're going to come back and reinforce this on our next pass. I'm going to sew into this next bicone, fire polish bicone. Group along the outside edge. Try not to get it caught on my finger or other things. There we go. It pops right into place. Yeah, because we're just loosey-goosey, and I'm okay with that for now because we're going to tighten it up when we go back and reinforce everything. So we're missing these guys over here on this side. So let's pick up bicone, pearl bicone. And that is all the beads that we're going to be adding. The rest of this is just going to be sewing back through, reinforcing things, and then tying a knot at the end so that we can burn it off and have a completed earring. So I'm just going to go back through all of these beads. When I come down here to this bottom part, I am not going to sew back into this dangle. I'm going to go straight from this fire polish bead to this fire polish bead and completely miss that one bicone that we were coming in and out of for that. So just the thread path goes straight across there. And yeah, so this is mostly how we make it. Just gonna go through here, reinforce my things. You can go through this as many times and with as much thread as you want. There's a lot of space in the holes of most of these beads. We don't have a ton of really tiny beads. We just have those 15-0s, and we're only gone through them once so far. All right, so here's where we're going to reinforce the thread path for our guy up here. I'm going to go through this 15-0, the bicone, and this 15-0 over here on the side. I'm coming out next to the wire guardian. I want to go through that leg of the wire guardian again, up there, over the top, back down through this leg of the wire guardian, that 15-0 fire polish bead, and if I can swing it, this second 15-0 over here. Oop, looks like I'm going through all of these guys. Lovely. All right, and that just strengthens that connection. I'm going to go all the way back through here. That's just going to be my second pass to strengthen everything. And when I do that, I'm going to get back to the side where I started, and I'm going to tie both ends of my thread together. And then we can use a thread burner or a lighter or something to burn down the edges of our thread. Or you can sew the ends back into your work, however you best feel like finishing it off. But here at the end, I'm going to, instead of going through these beads down here, I'm just going to go through this one bicone next to the pearl, and then into this edge hole of the quad bow. You can go in and reinforce this as many times as you want. I'm not going to. And I'm going to come out of this same hole that my originating thread was going into. Now I can take my thread off of my needle. And I can tie myself a little knot. One overhand knot. Tie it tight. And then another overhand knot, but I'm going to wrap it around twice. And then I can use a thread zapper or something to burn off my excess thread. And open this up. Pop it on there. Close that. And now I have my second earring. And these could make a pendant for a necklace if you wanted to, but I do quite like them as earrings. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, I will have links to where I got this guy from, as well as to where you can subscribe to the Potomac Beads bead box. Oh, you know what? You are facing the wrong way, guy. There we go. Ha! That's much better. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you want to give it a try, and I will talk to you later. Bye.